Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone here on the call. Hey, Helen. Good to see you. All right. Very excited about this evening. Going to go over a lot of good materials. Wait a few more minutes for a few people. I usually get started right on time, but we're about a minute ahead of schedule. But as soon as we hit 9 o'clock, I'm going to start rocking and rolling because I like to make sure that you get your value, especially you folks that showed up on time, which is great. Now, in terms of communication, you can chat directly. I'll open up your microphone if you want to ask a question. We can certainly do that, but I just want to make sure that the communication from myself and material I have is getting across versus being in a situation where everybody's talking at once. So that's the way we'll handle it, and I think that'll work out good for everyone. And of course, if you have a chat, you can just pop it in the chat. But the thing is, life isn't static. It's a series of tectonic shifts. And they're either going to bury you or they're going to propel you forward. Most people don't see the financial, emotional, and physiological forces that are grinding them down until it's too late. And I want you to picture this: you're stuck, money's tight, your mind's a mess, your body's screaming for a break, but you don't know why. See, I've been there. Over 20 years ago, I was broke, burned out, just wondering what I was going to do. And then I cracked the code of the three tectonic shifts that were really crushing me: financial chaos, emotional gridlock, and physiological fatigue. And I'll go into some of that. And so I want to show you how you can take these concepts and move forward with them as well. And I believe you'll get as good of value out of them as I have. So let's go ahead and get started. And I want you to allow me to share with you how I went from zero to hero and how I've helped thousands of men and women from around the world do the same. You'll notice I'll look over here sometimes because I could see a big screen. I've actually got three screens here. I'm trying to manage it so that we get all the information. But my number one goal in our small amount of time together, my goal is to make a big impact in the following ways: to provide you confidence where there was once uncertainty, to give you clarity where there was once confusion, and then to unlock within you the true potential that you have to make your dent in the universe. Yet, if nothing else, I'm here to empower you to rewire your brain, activate your prosperity and your body for less stress and more vitality. And we're going to go through some exercises and things that are going to do that. But first, let's have a pop quiz. These are true or false answers, and I'd like you to put them in the chat. And the first question is: you need cash to escape financial chaos. And just put in the chat if you think that's a yes or a no. Let's see. I want to make sure I have the chat on. False, true, false. The next one is: doubt means you'll never shift your mindset. True or false? And then 3 is: exhaustion kills your shot at power. True or false? They're actually all false, because even though it seems somewhat logical that some of them would be true, there's a way to get around all these things, and that's what we call the tectonic shifts. Is making When you make these tectonic shifts, it empowers you to be more alive inside of your mind, body, and spirit. Everybody talks about that. But write this down. I'm not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become, and I'm here to empower myself and transform. Now, I want you to know that everything that I'm doing tonight is by intent. 100%. I've scripted everything out so that I can ensure that you get the very best training. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. I know it's hard to believe. Hopefully I don't look that old to be doing something for 30 years, but anytime you can do something for 30 years, you're getting up there. And what's funny is yet not funny, but yesterday I woke up with a sore throat and a little congestion. I'm like, oh man, I got to do this event tomorrow, and I'm not really feeling 100%. So I had to immediately start doing meditations and healing myself, and I'm still on the back end of that, but that's the way it goes sometimes. And so I want you to really write that down because a lot of people hold on to their trauma, and I don't want that to happen. And here's the other thing: what if you could be in command and in demand? Would you want that? I want you to imagine that you paid me $100,000 to be here. I want you to imagine that in your mind, and I want you to really take that in and say, okay, I've been here. I paid $100,000 to be there. Now, no, to some of you that sounds outrageous, right? But I know individuals that charge that and more for engagements. But the reason I say that is because you have to have a mind shift in your mind that's going to allow you to get value out of what you're looking at. And sometimes when we don't invest, we don't put a value on it. And so yeah, sure, this was a free workshop. If you signed up for the VIP, you get a bunch of other goodies, but essentially there's no cost. I will provide for you an offer of something that I think is of value for you. So I don't want you to think, that I'm not going to do that, because I will. And so I want you to understand that concept. Matter of fact, you should do that no matter what you do. You should always pretend like you're paying way more money than what you're investing, because what that does is tricks your mind into actually taking it serious. Back in the day when I used to hire mentors and coaches, I still do, but when I first started, I remember my first couple energy coaches that I would call these guys every day, every day, every day. And finally they had to say, listen, you need to stop calling every day. But I was so excited. I was young. And I just wanted to get the information. And hopefully some of you are like that. You want to take care of that. Right? I'll also be getting you Power Surge gifts at the end of the session. They'll probably come out tomorrow. And I have a lot of goodies in store for you. And these gifts alone will provide enough value for you that you could make a transformation, make a breakthrough. Do I think you're going to do that? No, I don't. Because only about 5% of the people, maybe 1% of the people that I coach or train really get the results. And usually they get the results when they work with me personally. And this is what I call my wall of power. Several individuals that I've coached over the years and have had an impact on. And you'll someday have a wall of power of individuals from different backgrounds, different countries, different ethnic backgrounds, different language barriers, depending upon what kind of impact you want to make, or maybe you're already making an impact. And that's really what this is all about, is what kind of impact can you make in your life? What does that look like to you? I call it the 3 tectonic shifts: financial, emotional, and physiological. These 3 tectonic shifts, essentially, they're your entire life. Almost everything that you do in life and that you ever have a concern about or a joy about fall in line with these tectonic shifts, because there's a lot of layers to each one. But if you think about your life, it really is divided into these 3 areas. And each area that you're even thinking about is tucked into one of these areas: financial, prosperity, abundance; emotional covers everything from behavior, it covers your relationships, it covers your mindset, your belief factor, your self-esteem. And then the physiological is everything from your energy, your vitality, your physical shape, how much, if you're in shape, out of shape, you're overweight, underweight, whatever falls into that sphere. And so everything that you do in life is with these three tectonic shifts. And in financial, you could be living paycheck to paycheck or living dream to dream. You want to figure out, how do I get out of that? I've had many of you contact me and say, I just want to, get into a financial situation where I feel more comfortable. Well, it's going to take effort, and it's going to take a lot of putting yourself into a new paradigm, right? Emotional mindset. You're trapped by doubt, fear, I'm not enough. You're blocking your breakthroughs. And I'm going to show you how the energy works so that you understand exactly how you can get it to work better. Physiological, you're exhausted, you're foggy, you're unwell, you're draining your power to act. All three of these shifts work together in a way that allows you to be either become high performing or not so high performing. Now, don't get me wrong. I work with a lot of individuals, men and women, that are really good in one area, but maybe the one of the other areas. Very, very rarely do I find an individual that has all three of these tectonic shifts like in alignment. Very rare. And here's the thing, is that until you become consciously aware of them and understanding it, you really won't understand the full magnitude. But now you can't say that after today. Most people are essentially dead already. They don't know it. They're shut down. They're doing the same things day after day, working for somebody else's benefit. They're miserable. And Mind Force empowers you to consolidate all of your unproductive thinking and convert it into something useful. It's really a complete transformation, taking all the limitations in your life and transforming them into alignment and power. And that's these alignment of these three tectonic shifts. I want you to also think about this, because I would say that however many registered for this class, it was over 200. I don't know how many we have on the class right now, but um, the thing is this, is that most people contact me about financials. And you can only be good at making money or making excuses, but not both. And so the question is, which are you choosing today? Some of you may hear me say some of these things and you'll say that's a little rough. But I want to give this a wake-up call for yourself, right? Because these three tectonic shifts, they're not just concepts. They're the difference between existing and truly living. And what stands between you and complete alignment across all three of these tectonic shifts, it's not more information. It's the right system and accountability. Because I know right now that 90% of you or more, when you leave here tonight, you're going to say, that was a pretty good presentation, or maybe you won't. Hopefully you will. It doesn't matter if it's a good presentation or not. I don't even care if you think it's good. What I do care about is that it causes your brain to change a little bit so that you have a forceful impact to make a change. And the thing is, when you leave here and you go wake up tomorrow, you go, yeah, that was pretty good. But remember what Pee Wee Herman said, everybody's got a big butt. What is your big butt? And the thing is this, is that as days go by, you'll forget more and more of what we've talked about. And all of a sudden you'll go back to same old, same old. And that's just the way it is. But that's true for everyone. Same with myself. So let's talk about these three big tectonic shifts. T shift number one, mindset. Now you can put them in any order. I usually start money, mindset, vitality, but let's start with mindset. I call it confidence conquest formula, right? Discover the secrets to letting go of past trauma in your life. This, incidentally, is probably one of the biggest factors of anyone that I coach or work with is past trauma. We all have trauma that resides in our body from a lot of times when we were younger, and it stays there. You've got to release and let go. And I'm going to teach you some techniques to do to release and let go tonight. But you have to do it. You have to release and let go. Now, not everybody's trauma is the same. I'm going to go into some of my traumas in a little bit so that you have an understanding of that. T shift number 2 is money. I call it income alchemy secrets. Why you need to monetize now and how to do it. Here's what I would say about that is that you have to have a vehicle in order to earn money. A lot of times people really believe they can just attract money and abundance and prosperity out of thin air. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that can happen, but it's a rarity. You've got to have a lot of lines in the water in order to make things happen. Now, that's not to say that you can't create something from nothing, because I'm fully in belief of that. But it's always better when you have, like I said, some lines in the water. T-shift number 3 is vitality, energy mastery code. It's all about your physical energy and how you can develop it, hone it, and maintain it. Like I said, I've got some guys and gals that I've coached that are in phenomenal shape. I mean, body beautiful, man, male or female, and 6-pack abs, run all over the place, and yet they're emotionally a wreck. Physically or financially, they're a wrecks in some cases. Like I said, most people have 1 or 2 of these. They usually don't have all 3. And that's what I want you to think about. Where am I at all 3 right now? Right? You're bleeding money. You're caged by doubt. You're dragging through fog physically. I get it. I've lived it. I coach people that go through it every day. I know it sounds scary, but it's just words, not monsters. I shifted from broke to prosperity, chaos to clarity, burnout to unstoppable. Last month, 6 of my clients hit 6 figures. Yesterday, 1 client shifted in a day $5,000. More soon. Now, here's the thing. If time, fear, or fatigue haunt you, I'll prove they don't matter by the end. Are you ready to shift with me? Just type in yes if you are. If not, you could probably leave and save some time. Because what you'll find with me is that I'm here for your best. And sometimes that means a little bit of tough love and also giving you the information you need, not necessarily what you want to hear or feel or what have you. But every high performance athlete, business executive, entrepreneur, doctor, healer, actor, even stay at home moms need a coach, need a mentor to help them to excel at what they do. Now, I'm not saying that you have to select me, because chances are you wouldn't be able to afford me anyway. But you do need to have somebody that you can plug into and that you can use as an accountability measure, an accountability partner. Let's play another game. I'm your fortune teller. In the next 12 months, I see you wrestling with money, stress, emotional chaos, physical burnout, the same old, unless you shift today. Tell me, am I right? Right, yes or no? If you're so bold to do so. Because if you don't make a decision to change, you won't. I know that. I work with people all the time, and unless I am accountable to them and they're accountable to me, they can drop off the wagon very easily. But I want you to take 30 seconds and write down which shift hits you the hardest, money, mindset, or body, and we'll unlock it together. You can share it in the chat if you're so brave, but you don't have to. This is for you. It's not for, public consumption that everybody's like, all right, I want to know what this person's doing or that. It's really for you. But I get to see the responses and I get to see who I'm dealing with here. and it's an understanding. But write down which one is hitting you the hardest. I've spoken to some of you I know, and others I'll speak to in the coming weeks if you so desire to do that. And a lot of people are in this emotional turmoil, financial chaos. Uh, Physically, they don't feel like they used to, and that's really what it's all about. Is that you want to get these shifts to work for you? And I want to talk about the origins of pains. We all have trauma. It's time to let go and release of the past trauma. Remember, we're making legacy moves here. A legacy move is something that's going to dynamically change you for the rest of your life. It's legacy, right? Pain isn't abstract, it's personal. All right. Each shift that you wrote down affects you in a different way. For example, some people have been through physical trauma. It could be, their mother or their father, would physically abuse them, physical trauma. There's others that have been emotionally traumatized. The mother or father yelling at them and berating them and things like that. Two separate people, same circumstances, each adapt and react to those situations differently. Some people could take the physical pain and be like, it wasn't a big deal, but really what was the problem was the emotional pain, and then the other person's like, oh, I didn't care about the emotional pain at all. I just was affected by the physical. Okay. You're not just going to be following a system, you're recalibrating how you're positioned, how you're perceived, and how you are received in the world. I want you to think about that. You're recalibrating how you're positioned, how you're perceived, and how you're received in the world. Because we all have to be still part of the world. That's just the way that it goes. But let's get raw, you know. Let's talk. Financially, maybe you're bleeding. The bills are piled up. Your dreams are slipping away. Emotionally, your mind's a cage. Doubt whispers in, you'll fail again. Don't do it again. Physiologically, you're a zombie. Tired, foggy, running on fumes. I've felt that hell before. It's why I'm here, to drag you out of that. And if your life's a desert, these shifts are the sandstorms, so to speak. You don't need a polished plan. You need water fast, right? You don't need it in a fancy bottle. You'll take it any way you can get it. So, this is the other thing. Stop chasing perfection and start fighting for survival. Too many people try to be perfect in their own little way. And perfection is the downfall of many because it's funny because, well, I always say it's funny because it is kind of funny to me, but it's probably not funny what I'm talking about. I had a conversation with this guy a couple weeks ago. He might even be on the call. I don't know. But he was telling me he's writing a book. And I said, great. I said, when is it coming out? And he goes, well, I'm working with an editor, and he seems to think we can have it done in 18 months. I was like, what? 18 months? You could be dead by then. Get it done this month. Do it in 60 days, 90 days. It wouldn't take 18 months to get a book done. That's ridiculous. But that's me. I'm going to write a book. I'm writing it. That's the way my mindset is. And I want your mindset to be like that too, is focused on taking action quick. And because that's really, that's one of the things that you want to look at is take action. Whatever that means, right? And I'm going to talk about small wins versus big wins. And what that means is a lot of times people will say to me, I'll say, what's your goal? What's your objective? What's your intention? What kind of reality you want to create? They always jump to $1 million. I want to be a millionaire. I want to, do this, that, and the other. And it's really like, what if I could get you some small wins? right? You want to lose 30 pounds, that's great. Why don't we get you to lose the first 2 pounds? Your emotional wreck, you have a terrible relationship, your husband or your wife doesn't get along with you. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's have a date night. Let's open up the communication. Let's get back on page together. It's not always the big gaps, it's the small little wins. And that's what I do when I coach with people. It's all small wins that add up to the larger wins. Very rarely do I have somebody that just goes from zero to superhero. That's why I would say zero to hero, hero to superhero. It's the way it goes. So we're going to talk about small wins, but you got to take action in order to get that started. You got to do that. You have to make sure that you're doing that. So let's do something that I think you all will enjoy. And that is, we're going to do an exercise that's a focus exercise, release trauma and reclaim power. You already have all the power you need. Oh, wait a second. Oh, moved. Um, to becoming the best version of yourself. You already have the power. You have to find it within you in order to do that. When I do that, I always go into my meditation room. This is my meditation room. I can get into the zone. And if you don't meditate right now, you really should be doing it. And you should be doing it more than you're doing it now if you are doing it. Because it can become the control panel of your life. And what does that mean? Right? And again, I'm not talking about some convoluted meditation or a system that you have to abide by. I'm talking about getting into a relaxed state with your body, your mind, your spirit, and so that you can release and let go. You want to release the trauma. You'll see me do this from time to time, just pulling down pain, anxiety, fear, doubt, and I just pull it out my legs. And sometimes you have to take it out your arms and you physically pull it out. And for some of you, you hear that and you're like, that can't possibly work. But it does, because we're all energetic beings. And this is all energy. All three of these tectonic shifts it has an energy component to it. Money has an energy. Mindset has an energy. Physicality has an energy, obviously. And so I want you to relax, just relax your bones and take a deep breath and just imagine all the anxiety, fear, doubts, worries, anger, just draining out of your body. If you have to push them out, push them out. Trauma that you may have had as a child, as an adult, last week, just take and pull it out of the body. Feel better now. You can. You have all the power that you need. You just need to recognize that you have the power. Just go relaxed. Just let the body go as limp as you can. And just relax. Everything is done to success in a relaxed body. Tension is the enemy. Relaxation is what you want to cultivate always. Breathing helps, but it's just relaxation. And then the second part of this is taking your heart energy and just expanding it out. The love. You feel that? Just sending that love out. Sending it out to the world, sending it out to your family, sending it out to your friends, sending it out to your enemies. The love. Just let it cascade out. Many of you Maybe some of you men that are on the call, why would we do something like that? The reason you're doing that is because you're too tense. Your body needs to be relaxed. You need to love more. You need to understand that the love is the power, and it always has been. Love cures everything. If we had more love in the world, we'd have less wars, would have less uh, terrible people doing terrible things to other individuals. And so you always look at it from that perspective. You just cascade that energy out. And I always think this is a great way to get a workshop like this started. Is anyone more relaxed now than you were a minute ago? And just pull it out, pull that energy out, pull that trauma out. A lot of times people think I have all this trauma. I don't know how that's going to pull out all the trauma. Well, it will over time because you're pulling it out. You're making it insignificant. You're making it insignificant. You've got three minds. Well, and those three minds are your conscious, your subconscious, and then the superconscious. Obviously, the conscious is the part of your mind that you think with and that is usually holding you back because you're thinking too much. You've got to train the subconscious mind to do what you want it to do so that you can open up even more power to the superconscious mind. But what happens is our conscious minds, just like when I talked about that last exercise, many of you in your mind were saying, oh, yeah, I'll go through the motions, but it's not really going to do it. I've had this for years or whatever. And again, that's your conscious mind holding you back. If you can develop inside your conscious mind that absolutely works, it'll work. You have the power. And then the superconscious mind is really the connection of everything that's out there in order to get you even super fantastic results. The energy flows where attention goes. Two things hold people back: fear and doubt. And you can write that down: fear and doubt. What do I fear most and what do I doubt? Fear is usually a fake fear. There's two types of fear. The first type is real fear, and that's like you're walking in the woods and a mountain lion jumps out at you, or a bear, or you're in the city and somebody puts a gun in your ribs and says, "Give me all your money." That's real fear. But the fear that you have in your mind of, oh, I'm going to lose my partner because I think they're out doing something, or I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job, or I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to pay the rent, or I'm afraid that I'm going to. Those are all fears that are not real. They're not real fears. They could be anxiety, but they're not real. And so you have to realize that most fears that you have are not real at all. And most people doubt because they don't have belief in themselves, which in return creates an anxiety, a paralysis, which is the exact opposite of what we just talked about with relaxation. You see, waste present energy focusing, worrying about an outcome in the future that is undesirable. That's what anxiety is. You waste present energy right now focusing or worrying about an outcome in the future that is undesirable. Now, it may happen, but when you worry about it, you're taking energy, like I said, right now, and you're creating negative energy. Why would you do that? It's terrible when you do that. And so anxiety is this, fetal position rolled up in the ball. It's not relaxed. It's not chill. It's the tense. Now there's an opposite to that, which you may not understand, that I'll talk about that in a minute, is instant negative mind force is omnipotent. Fear, anger, worry, doubt, anxiety, These are all things that affect you, just like we talked about. Anger is a big one. Uh, Worry, anxiety, jealousy is a big one that causes really bad energetics. But these things are all negative. You need to remove them from your life. You need to look at each one and say, how can I remove fear, doubt, anger, anxiety, worry? Now, here's what you do. This is an exercise I do with a lot of people I coach with. They'll say, well, I have this fear, I have this anxiety. And I say, who do you know or know of? Doesn't You don't have to know them. That is like a super, maybe they're a celebrity, maybe they're very wealthy, maybe whatever. What do you think they would do with fear? How do you think they would react to it? And they come up with an answer that's probably pretty close to what that person might do. And I say, what's the difference between you and them? There's no difference. You've got to model people and understand the power that they have. But there's also instant positive mind force, which is omnipotent. Faith, love, happiness, confidence, anticipation. Of course, there's a lot of other positive emotions that you can look up and say which ones do I want. But see, when you have faith, confidence, happiness, love, anticipation in your mind, your body, your spirit, you can't be having the others because only one thought can sit in the mind at a time. Did you know that? One thought. So if the thought is positive and then jumps to negative because you go, oh, I want to do that. That sounds great. And then your mind says, you can't do that. It wins. But now if you come back around and say, yes, I can, because I'm a champion, I'm powerful, I can do anything that I put my mind to, that's a big difference. Anticipation power, which is totally different than anxiety, because see what anticipation is, and think about this, is where you gain energy from the future and you use it in the present. Remember what anxiety was? It was where you were taking energy from the present and disturbing it for a future situation that may or may not happen. Whereas anticipation is where you gain energy from the future to use it for the present. Good example is if you were a kid and it was Christmas time or some holiday time or something that you were excited about going on vacation, whatever. You anticipated it. Oh man, I can't wait to go to Europe. I can't wait to go to wherever you're going on vacation. Disney World. Can't wait. I'm anticipating that. And that gives you energy. That gets you excited and jacked up. So just remember those two things: anxiety, fetal possession, and anticipation is power. See the way this woman is holding up her hands? It's as if that energy is shooting out. It's real. You can take bold action. You create your vision. You learn a new skill set. You develop a strategy and harness a powerful mindset. These are 4 building blocks. You also want to top it off with accountability, but these 4 things will set you in a direction and a trajectory of success if you'll just take action. Grandmother becomes sales superstar. When I started working with this young lady, I call her young lady because she doesn't really look like a grandmother. She was she didn't have belief in herself. But through working with me, I believed in her way more than she believed in herself. And eventually she became very successful, but not only in financial, but emotional, physically. She found a new romance and got remarried. So the possibilities are there for you, but only if you do the work. But I want you to imagine the new you. Why do you fight for what you want? Why do you do it? Why do you push past broke, broken, and beat? Picture this: money flowing, mind clear, body electric. Now, I really want you to picture that: money flowing, coming from many different sources, whether it's a job, a business, whether it's uh, relatives giving you money. And it can come from a lot of sources, but it's flowing. Your mind is clear. You're relaxed. You're not anxious about all the nonsense that's out there. I mean, if you watch the news, you'll be negative because the news is designed to be provocative and cause you anxiety. If you watch news before you go to bed, that's the worst thing you could ever do because you're dumping garbage into your subconscious mind, and it's not going to help you. It's just not. What's your why? That's a big thing. Why? Write that down. Why? Why do I want to blank? Why do I want to be more financially prosperous? Why do I want to be more emotionally stable? Why do I want to lose 20 pounds? Why? What's the reason? If you don't have a why, you'll never do any of that. The why is the biggest factor of everything that we're going to talk about. Because without a why, it doesn't matter how. It just doesn't. I can't tell you how many people I've asked them, what's your why? And they didn't know what their why was. And they never could become successful because they didn't have a why. You have a why, you can get there. Using the concept, I always use this analogy is someone is overweight, let's say 20, 30 pounds overweight, something like that. And let's say that all of a sudden their spouse leaves them. Within 30 days, they lose the 20, 30 pounds, 60 days tops, because they have a why now. And that why is that I gotta find somebody else. I'm gonna show that other rotten sucker. But what does freedom smell like? What does it sound like? Drop it in the chat. Make it real. What does freedom smell like to you? What does it sound like? Maybe it's your favorite music. Maybe it's going to a symphony. Maybe it's fine food. You can breathe it in. As we were working up to this workshop, I did a video. I was in New York City last week. And I did a short video and I said, when you go to New York City, you want to go to the best restaurants if you can. Obviously, there's a lot of street food there that's pretty good too, but you want to go to good restaurants. And some people are like, I couldn't afford to go to a good restaurant, right? They wouldn't even think of spending, $80 or $100 on a steak, plus sides, plus drinks, plus all this stuff, because it would be crushing. But what is your why? Right? What is your why? It's important. It's really important. You want to imagine the new you. You want to link excitement to all three shifts, sensory cues. You want to deepen the desire financially. And again, financially is not, you've heard people say, putting together dream boards and things like that. Ocean breeze flowing through my bedroom window on a sunny tropical beach. I like that. I like that a lot. Uh, I like that too, by the way. And really what it comes down to is you identifying what that is like, and then replay that over and over and over and over in your mind. And as I showed you on that screen a couple screens ago, is you got a mindset, strategy, skill set, right? And then you put it together of how you're going to take care of all those situations. I call it a miracle formula. But what's your vision of success? Right? Nice pool, house, being in shape, nice car. You see, this woman went from average to fantastic in and it wasn't a short period of time. It's almost 2 years right there, year and a half. but doesn't matter if you're on the trajectory, you get it done. But what is your vision of success? Do you have a dream board? And not just a dream board that you put up, so what? But things that you're focused on, and you have a game plan. How do you get them? Like for instance, if you're looking at this car here, do you have you driven it? Have you priced it out? How much money do you have to earn, or how much money do you have to buy it cash or to make the payments plus insurance? Do you even know, or is it just a pipe dream? Oh yeah, I like that car. When you really detail it out and say, I need to earn X amount of money. When you see the type of shape you want to be in, and you say, okay, 30 pounds, what does that look like? How long is that going to take? You put a strategy together. It then becomes a vision of success. The miracle formula is what is your why. That is the miracle formula. Simple, and yet it works. You see, I've shifted from broke to abundance. I've been bankrupt before. I mean, it happens, right? Go from doubt to unshakable belief, from burnout to boundless energy. I've guided icons, executives, athletes, and everyday heroes like Jane, a wellness coach now booked solid at 5,000 a pop. You're not here for theory, you're here with a guide who's done it. And not only it doesn't matter if I've done it, who cares about me? The thing is I can get you where you want to go. That's the difference. That's what I always looked at when I was looking to mentor. I'm like, I didn't care if this mentor was not exactly what I was looking for. I had one mentor that was like a I wouldn't say he was a drug addict, but he smoked pot like morning, noon, and night. But I learned so many good things from him, even though that wasn't my lifestyle. But he had information to teach me, and it's interesting how you find valuable information in the strangest places. But let me tell you about the day that I almost died at 7 years old. Talk about trauma. See, I lost my mother that day. From that day forward, I would never be allowed to live with my mom because of what she had done to my brother and I. My mother, who's a sweet woman, was a paranoid schizophrenic and an alcoholic. And when I was 7 years old, Christmas Eve, my brother and I were rambunctious. It was Christmas Eve, waiting for Santa Claus. We were going to a family party, get together. And my mother thought, well, I have tranquilizers that help me out. I'll give some tranquilizers to my kids. Well, she gave us tranquilizers and we almost died. I mean, if we hadn't been going to a party and my uncle hadn't picked us up, we'd be dead. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now because we had to get our stomachs pumped. It was not a pleasant experience. But that's trauma. It is what it is. But everyone has something, and that's one of my things. Traumatic to say the least. I love my mom. She's no longer with us, but beautiful woman. But she was gripped with something that she couldn't get away from. I had 3 kids by the time I was 26 years old, and didn't have a lot of money. But I love my kids. I wouldn't do it again. I didn't really have 20s. Some people say, "Oh man, my 20s were my best times of my life." My 20s were working, trying to work, make money, and support a family. And I do appreciate you thinking about that situation. Um, but every situation is meant to help us out. I've been separated twice, but I've been married for actually it's 37 years. I need to change this slide. But relationships are never easy. Again, you're seeing here these tectonic shifts. That's one of the tectonic shifts. The relationships, the emotion, how to deal and how to handle with things. That love factor. And we're in love. Obviously, we're still together today, but there were some rough roads. A lot of people go through that. Unemployed, bankrupt, Mercedes repossessed. Oh, that's a Mercedes 560 SEC. That was my dream car at the time. Still a great car. I'd like to get another one. It's an older model, but it was such a popular model. A lot of people fix them up. But hard times don't last, but hard men and women do. And when things like that happen, when in doubt, you reroute. And yeah, maybe you go back for a little bit, but then you surge forward again. So I want you to know I've been there. I've been through those situations, but now I'm a best-selling author with a lot of books, courses, more on the way. A lot of training on esoteric concepts, anything from energy to healing, psychic energy, which is a good one, uh, and how all of these things integrate. Hypnotic influence. You see, there's knowledge seekers which really just are looking for information. I hope you're not one of them. Although I like information too, so don't get me wrong. But it's really the action takers, the implementers that are the ones that are going to really get ahead. And so it's good to have the knowledge, but if you're not taking action, it's really it's not bad, obviously, but it's not as good as it could be because you're not taking action on it. I speak to a lot of people that will say, "Well, hey, do you know this, this, and this?" And I'll say, "No, I don't know that." And they're like, "Well, maybe you're not the guy for me." And I'm like, "Well, maybe I'm not. I don't care." But the fact of the matter is, if are you going to take action? That's what I told one guy. I said, "You're going to take action. Who cares?" He's like, "Well, I'm getting all my information together." It's like, okay, get it together, but don't make it sound like you're doing something if you're not. You want to surround yourself with those on the same mission as you. I love this picture because it typifies some some great, beautiful animals that are on a mission, and that's the way you got to look at it. You got to get people surrounded you that are on the same mission as you. Now, if people aren't on the same mission as you need to make a decision. I speak a lot of people that say my husband or wife aren't on the same page as me. I've spoke to a young lady a couple weeks ago, and her boyfriend is using drugs, and she says, "But I love him." And I said, "But what's that going to cost you to stay there?" I said, "Do you end up using drugs as a result?" She goes, "Yes." I said, "You've got to make that decision because you're not on the same mission. At least you're telling me you're not. You need to get away from that." And there's probably somebody on this call who might be in the same situation. You need to get away from that situation. As horrible as that might sound, it's a reality. If you don't surround yourself with those on the same mission as you, you're never gonna accomplish the mission. Because if you look at it, sociologically, you will be who you hang around with. And if you do hang around with individuals that are extremely successful, you will be successful. Let me put it to you this way. Let's say that you start hanging around people that are only in great shape, CrossFitters or something like that, or jujitsu or martial arts. I do martial arts. What if you only hung around with those type of people? I can guarantee you that you would get in great shape because there's no way you can hang around with those people and be out of shape. Because after a while, what they were talking to you about, you would assimilate, or you would have to get out of that group. By the same token, same thing true with, let's say you hang around, everybody was smoking. If you were the only one not smoking, you would have to remove yourself because you're not like them. You're not in the same mission. Think about that. It's a very important thing a lot of people don't recognize, but it's really important. It's really important to do that. My first coach and mentor is a guy by the name of Bob Gruskin. That's him in the picture. And I was a bodybuilder. He was a bodybuilding coach. But just looking at this guy, it's like, that guy's a bodybuilding coach? Really? But in reality, this guy trained many, many bodybuilding champions because he knew about diet, he knew about physiology, he knew about the right supplementation to take in order to get into fantastic shape. And just looking at him, you couldn't tell that he was a bodybuilding coach. I don't think the guy ever lifted a weight in his life, but he knew how to get people in great shape. He got me in great shape. I was 19 years old, and he taught me how to use my diet, supplements, training in order to get the very best shape. The reason I bring this up is I want you to understand that sometimes your coaches and mentors come in very strange places. And if you look at some of the coaches and mentors that are out there in many different aspects of life, you can see that there's a lot of different types of coaches. And I don't mean just sports, but I mean, if you're a singing coach, acting coach, art coach, right? Which is interesting. So rewriting your reality. $1 million dreams feel fake, right? But $100 extra this week, that's real. And I had alluded to this earlier. One clear thought tomorrow. Doable? 5 minutes of energy today. You've got it. Small shifts, financial, emotional, physiological, stack into power. I'll show you how to do that. Everybody wants to take the big jump. I teach a quantum Qigong program called Qi Power Blueprint and advanced Qi training. And a lot of times guys will call me up. It's usually guys. And they'll say, man, I'm going to start doing this like 2 hours a day. And I'm like, I don't think you should do that. I think you should start off small and build your way up. Oh, I could do. I'm so excited. I want to get these results. I want to be able to do all these amazing things. And they never stick to it because they jump in too much. It's too much for the body, but it's too much for the mind to handle. You start out small and you get little wins. So you get little wins, your mind starts to grasp onto the fact that you're a winner. Whereas if you try to bite off more than you can chew, your mind just tells you, see, I told you so. So I want you to rewrite your reality. Shatter your limiting beliefs with small, believable wins across all three areas. Okay? Make transformation accessible. You want to address all shifts, right? Pick a shift and shrink it, right? Like I said, you've got to you want to build a relationship with somebody, your kids, a lot of times people are stubborn with relationships. They don't want to be the one to cave because they think that it's going to somehow uh, make them feel like, oh, I didn't win. Relationship's not about winning. It's about getting along with somebody and loving somebody and enjoying the time with somebody. It's not about, oh, I won that one. But many people go into situations and they're like, no, I don't, yeah, I'm not gonna admit to my wife that, she was right, or I'm not gonna admit to my husband that he was right. It's not what it's about. Do you want to correct the situation, or do you want the situation to get out of control? Usually when the wife leaves or the husband leaves, that's when they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Here, I'll do whatever you want." Yeah, now you will, because now you're losing, right? And so I want you to think about these shifts and think about those little things. Physical. Start getting up in the morning and doing 5 minutes of exercise, whatever that might be. Push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, walk around the block, whatever. 5 minutes. Not asking you to do 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 50 minutes or an hour. Make the transformation in a time frame. That's what you want to be able to do. That's how you're going to get really good at what you're doing, because there's an energy mind connection. The Mind Force method bridges the gap between thought and reality through neural pathway activation, energy field synchronization, reality thread selection, and power state maintenance. Now, I don't have time to go into every detail of these things because they're scientific in nature, but they're simple. And I'll show you exactly how that works. And power generation principles, force field creation through focused intention. That which you focus on, you create energy through. Energy multiplication through specific breathing patterns is learning specific breathing patterns to multiply the effects of energy. And then reality manipulation through synchronized movement. You can manipulate your surroundings. You can manipulate energy. You can manipulate thought. You can manipulate others. It happens all the time. Just look at the news. They are manipulating people all day long. Look at the politicians. They're manipulating people all day long. And if you see the methods, and I understand, I can see the methods that some of them use. Some of them are doing it totally without any kind of thought. They don't know. But a power generation demo is a field expansion technique. What's a field expansion technique? It's where, actually, let's just go, we'll go into the dojo for a minute here. Let's see here. So, a field expansion technique is where you've got this energy and you're spreading it out like an aura, right? Because your aura is growing or can grow to different sizes, right? So you can make it as big. Like I always say, when I walk into a room, I'm the Incredible Hulk of energy. I imagine myself walking into a room like an Incredible Hulk of energy. My aura is big like the Hulk, right? And that people bump into it before they even see me because of the fact that it's so big, so powerful. Then there's an energy density increase, right? The density of the energy is how quickly, how can you pack that energy to make it dense? And then you can use that energy for other manipulations. And then a force multiplication method where you're multiplying the energy. So one aspect, you're creating this large energy body, and then you're also creating multiplications of that energy, multiples of that energy. And then reality imprint demonstration would be where you're creating an imprint of reality in your mind with your energy, and you're almost like you're creating something out of nothing, which I know doesn't make sense, but you have to work these types of techniques to know that they work. And so it's really relaxed body, breathing. You'll notice sometimes my tones change because when you have a soft tone, it connotates a couple things. Number one, you listen more intently. Number two, it's more relaxing. It's also a way that I could influence a lot easier than if I use a normal cadence or if I go faster, if I slow down and keep the tone. You're amazed what can be done by using these small tonal shifts. So knowing what you know now through our discussion here, do you feel more comfortable of how you can supercharge those three tectonic shifts? Do you have an idea of what that looks like in your life? Just type in yes in the chat if you want. The other thing is, are you happy that you came to the workshop today, or do you feel like it was a waste of your time? And then the other thing is, do you realize the advantage you have by using these cutting edge concepts, methods, and techniques? I mean, it is an advantage. Most people don't understand the tectonic shifts. I mean, we all know about these things, but when you put them in a construct, it makes it a lot more manageable to understand it. And can you see yourself using what I showed you today to help you grow exponentially? Right? You should be able to leave here and have some semblance of how to use it. And even if you use just a tiny fraction of what I showed you, would you say our time was well spent? So, would you like to spend even more time together going even deeper and further on how to make amazing results to show up in your life with impact. Yeah, it is small incremental steps. Absolutely. There's no question about it. So we can go into more mindset exercises. If somebody has a question, I'd love to answer any questions that you might have. Kind of just take a pause and see what the next phase is. If anyone has a question based on what we're talking about, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you a little. The next part is what I call mindset, mission, and moves. I call it the M3 protocol, and it's designed to get you to where you want to be. Mindset, mission is, obviously your goals, and then the moves to get there. Mindset is the foundation of success. It's about cultivating the proper mental framework to move toward your goals and achieving mastery over your thoughts. Key concepts you want to recognize and release energy blocks, just like we were talking about. It's recognizing the energy blocks, which is really important, because once you recognize where the blocks are, then you can remove them. You want to build mental resilience through energy alignment. And like I showed you in some of the diagrams, the mind and the body, and I'm going to send you a video that goes into the mind energy dynamic, and then transforming negative thought patterns into empowering beliefs. It's probably the biggest thing that everyone in the world has to learn to do, is to be able to transform negative thoughts into empowering beliefs. I'm going to give you a couple mindset exercises. Energy awareness exercise. Spend 5 minutes identifying areas of mental resistance or limiting beliefs. Write them down and describe how they impact your goals. So, in other words, you look at it and you say, I'm not really good with people, let's say, as an example, or I'm not really comfortable speaking with people. And so that's the limiting belief. And then how is that affecting? Well, it doesn't enable me to earn more money because I'm working in a job where I don't have to deal with people. And if I was a little bit more of a people person, I probably could earn more money. That's one example. The other example could be, if I was more talkative and dealing with people, I could have a relationship because I could go out and meet people. I won't have to do everything online, right? So that's one drill. The next is a thought conversion drill. For each limiting belief, you write a positive, empowering statement to replace it. You see these thoughts as they come in. If do any of you have the my Instant Mind Force book? Because I've got techniques in there to replace negative statements. There's a block technique also that allows you to be able to block the negative and run with the positive. And then sustainable energy circuits. Practice a 10-minute breathing technique to align your mental energy with your goals. So again, when I talk about you being in a control panel, right? Meditation is a great control panel, is that you're creating these techniques. They're mental techniques, they're physical energy techniques. And when you combine them together, you really create a synergistic approach. And I've been studying that, like I said, I've been doing Qigong for over 30 years, Qi power, hypnotic influence for over 20 years. And I created the Mind Force method because I wanted an integration of all of these concepts. Most people that you look at, they will mention energy, but they have no clue what they're talking about. Your mission is the driving force that gives purpose to your actions. It's about aligning your goals with a greater sense of meaning, defining your mission in alignment with your highest values. Use alpha and theta brainwave states to create powerful mental imagery for your mission. This is one of the big things I do in my Power Shift 12-week immersion program, is teaching you how to create your own alpha and theta brainwave tracks so that you can use them for any type of goals that you have. and then committing to daily action that align with your mission. That's the mission. Pretty simple stuff, but getting people on track to do that. Now, mission exercises, mission statement development. Write a one paragraph mission statement that it encapsulates your purposes. Now, every time you do this type of exercise, what you're doing is you're reinforcing inside of your mind, even though it sounds like a pain in the butt to write it down, and granted, but it's instilling it into your mind. Alpha state visualization. Spend 15 minutes visualizing your mission using guided meditations. Again, I'm going to provide a guided meditation for you as part of the gifts that I'm going to provide for you later on. But I will teach you how to create your own guided meditation so you can literally almost hypnotize yourself to do anything you want in life, is what it comes down to. And then daily alignment practice. At the end of each day, write down 3 actions you took that aligned with your mission. What did I do today that was productive, helping me get closer to where I want to be or not? See, these are all things that are conscious techniques that you have to consciously do. Now, one of the things I teach in a lot of my programs is really how to start you out at that novice level, and by the end of 12 weeks, get you to a place where you're feeling like that incredible Hulk with energy, power, mentally unstoppable. The moves refer to deliberate actions that you take to execute your missions. Balance, utilize, apply. Strategic long-term actions with tactical short-term moves. So you got long-term actions and you got short-term tactics. Utilize energy alignment movements to amplify your effectiveness. You'll notice that, to me, energy is packed in with everything. So when I talk about that physiological shift, that's, to me, the energy is the most important part, right? Because the energy is going to dictate all of the aspects. With low energy, you're not going to be able to sustain a high level of performance. You need to apply reality imprint techniques to program your success. Again, talking about programming your success, you have to look at your mind as something that you can program successfully so that you can get the results that you desire. Pretty simple. And then the moves exercises, right? Strategic action map. Write down your long term goals and break them into smaller, actionable steps. You've probably heard that before. Reality imprint exercise. Visualize yourself achieving a specific goal and anchor it with a physical movement, such as clenching your fist. So, what this does is this connects the physical with the mental. So, you visualize yourself achieving a specific goal, and then you anchor it with a physical movement, like the closed fist, or you could do it like this, or you could do a punch. You could really do anything. You could go like that, jazz hands, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the connection that matters. Power generation postures. I'll teach you these. Practice 10 minutes of focused energy building techniques daily. And then specific mind force methods, protocols, and tactics for your success. So there's all kind of moves. It's just a matter of what you need the move for. I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of moves. I've probably forgot more than most so-called gurus have ever known or will ever know. I can assure you of that. Just due to the fact that all the people that I've learned from, and a lot of them were not somebody that you would know. I always found the teachers that were going to teach me the stuff that was going to be the most interesting. Esoteric. That's what I really wanted to learn. Esoteric all the time. Because I wanted to make sure that everybody that I was learning from was an interesting character or characters, and that's really the key when you're doing things like that. But, one of the things that I teach is I teach the concept of, I call it six powerful pillars of power. And that is mindset, energy, focus, which is meditation, perception, which is psychic energy, awareness, intuition, manifestation, abundance, and prosperity, creation, and then healing. Now, over the years, I created this system because they all integrate together. And as I was learning from different people, I took a piece from here and I started integrating them and realizing that they integrate perfectly. The mindset integrates great with the energy. The energy obviously works with meditation and the tonification of the body. The more you do energy and meditation, the more intuitive you become because now you become more relaxed. Your mind has a tendency to be more open, and so your energy centers are more open. You're in more intuitive, psychic, if you will. Some of you would go, "Wow, psychic, that's a little out there." Now, others of you are like, "Right on." I've been doing that for years. And then it delves into the manifestation. Now, when it goes to the manifestation, what happens a lot of times is because people don't have their mindset and their energy in the right wavelength, the right way that it's setting a trajectory. It's usually like this: the energy's good, the mindset's bad, and so they're going in opposite directions. Or the mindset's good, but the energy's bad. You've got to get them lined up so that they're both the same trajectory. Easier said than done, but that's why you have the moves. That's why you have techniques. That's why you have an understanding of how to get there. And you have tools and resources and somebody that can actually show you how to get the results that you're looking for when you're doing that. Let me just show you something real quick. If you think of it this way, I always use this diagram. I'm not a great artist, but let's say this is you. And you get a certain level of energy that you have naturally. Could be more than this. But as that energy is pulsating and resonating out, shooting out, it's either going to affect in a negative way or a positive way. And if you're focused in the right mindset, you can take that energy and create it even more. And if you're doing it with the positive thoughts and the mindset, you can literally magnify the amount of energy that you have going out exponentially. Like I said, the Incredible Hulk of energy. By the same token, you could stagnate the energy. And even if you have a high level of energy, let's say your mindset is so poor that it negates the amount of energy. And see the difference. The nice round edges are now being dissipated with these jagged anxiety, fear, doubt. So you started out with magnificent energy, but because of the mindset, because of the way you interpret certain things, you don't control your emotions, you let your emotions control you, you get this stagnation of energy. That stagnation of energy is what's holding you back, probably in all three of these tectonic shifts. Now, some people can force through this. Like, for instance, I've coached some people that were magnificently wealthy, but they were terrible with relationships. They were physically in terrible shape. They were like on borderline of like having a stroke or a heart attack, but they could push financially. So it can be done, but it's at the cost of those other shifts. And so when your energy's like that, you've got to find a way to get it back to where it was. You need to get it back to that nice energy. It might take some time, but you want to get it back to where you're building up
and you've got the right energy. Like I used to train with a lot of guys, and they would say, don't do energy work unless your mind's right. Don't ever do it. Because if you do energy work when the mind's not right, it's only going to be bad energy. A lot of people don't understand that. They'll still do qigong, yoga, and all this other stuff with a negative mindset. You're doing the worst thing you can. You got to get your mindset first. You got to always level set your mind. And once you do that, it's going to make more sense, in the long run. But let me tell you about somebody that I worked with. Her name's Crystal, 24-year-old single mother of two. Actually, she's probably closer to 30 now. But English is a second language. Her parents are from Mexico. And I started working with her. She was earning about $45,000 a year, which wasn't bad for a 24-year-old kid. And within a couple years period of time, I had her earning six figures. How did I do that? Because with the coaching, I taught her it's the little things. We're going to build up from here. Today, she's a superstar. And when I first started working with her, I was like, wow, this is going to be a project. But as long as someone has the wherewithal, as long as somebody has the desire is the big thing, I can help them. If you don't have the desire for something, I mean, it's kind of like the why. You've got to look at it from the standpoint of desire. You've got to have desire. What's your desire in all of those three tectonic shifts? And you should have desire for all of them so that you can manage it. There's no question about it. You definitely should do that. Now, there is something that you can do as you go forward. You've got your transformation, right? What's your path forward from here? Would make sense. Napoleon Hill said, out of every adversity is the seed of an equal or greater benefit. How many of you have read Think and Grow Rich, the book? I constantly read it. It's a great book. And it's very esoteric. A lot of things are in there packed in there about energy and even out of body experiences and things. He doesn't package it that way, but if you read it and you understand what you're really reading, you're like, wow, this is pretty interesting. Now, Napoleon Hill wasn't necessarily a successful guy himself, even though he wrote the book, but that doesn't negate what's in the book, because he was obviously writing it from a perspective. Maybe he was being told that by other people, or it was visions, or whatever the case might be. Still a fantastic book. I mean, beyond today is the law of polarity. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so everything you do, there's going to be an opposite reaction. Your transformation will have a shelf life of forever. When I coach with somebody, this is what I tell them. I said, listen, you work with me, you're going to have a shelf life. Your transformation has a shelf life of forever. You know why? Because I'm going to teach you the resources, the tools, the moves that you can take to that next level. Otherwise, you normally wouldn't see that. I take you from the known to the unknown and the unknown to the known. If you can demonstrate to yourself that any skill set, mindset, strategy is no big deal, you will acquire these things, including large sums of money or any of your desires, because it's all within that realm. Now, if you don't want to learn a new skill set and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, well, then you're not going to be able to make a pathway to get better, to get good. Belief is changing from within. Belief in self, belief in potential situations, belief in potential solutions to the challenges that you're running into. What do you believe is possible? That's what it comes down to. What do you believe is possible? Let's get into the tectonic shifts. Mindset, confidence, conquest formula. Positive affirmation integration. Adopt a practice. Now, here's the thing is, as I'm going through this, I want you to mark this down, because you could easily implement it. And I know you can implement it. Will you implement it? Like I said, I don't think you will, but maybe you will. Because usually, like I said, you'll leave and you'll get on to the next thing and you'll go, okay, whatever. But it's the practice of affirming your strengths, abilities, and achievements daily. This technique helps rewire negative self talk, instilling a greater sense of self assurance and confidence in your capabilities. Confidence building challenges: set and conquer progressively challenging tasks or goals that align with your strengths and interests. This technique involves deliberately seeking out opportunities to demonstrate and enhance your confidence, reinforcing your confidence. Did you know you could have confidence in something, but you might not have self confidence? What I mean by that is you could have confidence in maybe doing a craft, plumbing, heating, being a computer programmer, a writer, but you have low self confidence, which means your self confidence is very bad, even though you're confident in a thing. I mean, I coach doctors who earn great money, they can do amazing healing, and yet their self image is very, very small. So, how do you get that self image? You got a visualization of success scenarios. You've got to engage in visualization. If you take anything away today, it's you got to learn to visualize all the time. You shift to money. Profit amplification alchemy, applying advanced techniques to enhance the profitability of your ventures. Now, this is if you're in business. This technique involves refining business models, optimizing processes, and identifying untapped revenue sources. I coach a lot of business owners. I've owned several businesses over the years, so I'm pretty good at it. But you can do the same thing if you're not in business, is how do you amplify your profit? Monetization mastery formulas. Master the art of monetizing your skills, expertise, and resources. Now, a lot of times people don't see how valuable their resources or their skills are. And so they mute the amount of money that they could earn. And again, I always look at things from tactical and practical. What's practical? Like I always talk about one of the guys I coached. Within 4 weeks of coaching with me, he went from $40,000 a month in income to 105. Guess what? He already had a base to start with. He already was a hard charging guy, but because he had some emotional issues and some physical, once we get the physical, the energy, and the emotional stuff, whoo, right up the top. He was already there. He already had the raw materials. He had a business, and that's the way you can look at it. Passive income alchemist. How to implement strategies to generate passive income that work for you, not against you. And I go into a lot of detail with anyone that wants to learn these types of techniques because there's so many. And I don't pretend to be an expert in everything, but as a coach and mentor, it's really identifying what's there. Somebody came to me the other day and said, I would like to have a passive income. And I said, well, what are you thinking? Like, what do you want to do? How much money do you have to invest in something like that? They say, well, I got like 50,000. What do I do with it? I said, well, there's a lot of options. They immediately thought real estate, but I said, well, I don't know. Maybe. Have you ever thought of buying a business, buying somebody's current business and taking it over? You find a business that has potential, take it over, earn a lot of money that way. I've coached many people to do that. I personally have never done that. Never. Well, actually, I did buy a business a couple years ago, but there's so many different. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Why would you want to do that? I don't know. And there are many roads to Rome. And then you have vitality, the energy mastery code, breath of life techniques. Harness the power of conscious breath work to master your energy. And it's controlled rhythmic breathing patterns to enhance energy flow and vitality. energy visualization meditations. We talked a little bit about that as well. And then daily energy check in. You got to check yourself every day. What's my energy like? What's my emotions like? What's my finances like? My wife wakes up, she's checking the banks every day. But my wife's a financial wizard. She wasn't always that way. She wasn't always that way. But that goes to show you the skill set that she wanted to learn. She wanted to learn money management. She wanted to learn more about savings. She wanted to learn how to get out of debt. This was going back years ago. Now she's probably one of the best ever at doing things like that. She could help anyone to get out of debt in a very short period of time. I mean, she's an expert at it. But she became an expert because she was willing to put in the time to actually figure all these things out. She doesn't even have she doesn't even have a college degree. She's a high school, actually, she's not even a high school graduate. I hope she doesn't hear this. She quit school and then got her GED. But no matter what the new endeavor is, no matter what the cost, there's a natural fear of the unknown. So some of you are on there saying, I want to take the jump, but I'm a little afraid. What does that look like for me? What can I do? Well, I'm gonna show you exactly what you can do. Right? You embrace the fear and take action. I've got some other slides on risk taking, but I don't want I could this workshop could go for days if I did that. But you need to embrace the fear and take action. Action actually cures fear. Anything you're afraid of, take action on it, and you'll lose the fear of that thing. Like I said, there's two types of fear: real fear and the fake fear. Fake fear you can manage. Real fear is tough. Like I said, you're in the woods, a lion jumps out at you, you got problems. That's real fear. No question about it. But with your permission, I'd like to introduce my family to you and show you how you can potentially benefit from the system that I've been using for close to 30 years. And I'd like to give you three different ways to experience what I call the power shift because I understand everyone's situation is different. So if you want, I can walk you through that. If you're not interested, you could certainly leave. You don't have to listen to me. I don't have any issues with that. I'm here to provide information for you, but I'm also here to provide for you a bridge to get from where you're at to where you want to go. And like I said, there's probably a lot of you that probably would not qualify to even be a part of that, but I don't think it's harms to tell you what that is because there might be some of you that want to take advantage of that. But let me show you my family. That's my wife, Mary Jane. These are my boys, Tommy and Alex. Alex is my oldest son. Tommy's my younger son. I mean, Alex just turned 40, so he's not that young, and Tommy's 36. And this is my daughter and her wife and their baby, Grace. And so I have an extra daughter-in-law. I love my daughter-in-law, Shannon. Obviously, my daughter Samantha. They have a great relationship, and they have a great baby, Grace. That's that's me and my wife with Grace. And then this is my youngest daughter, Camille, and her husband, Stevie, and their two boys. That's Van right there, the older one. And then the younger one's name is Arnold. Now, I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, and my my daughter decided to name their son Arnold after watching the Arnold documentary, which I thought was crazy because they wouldn't tell us the name. And then these are my two other little boys, Roger and Max, my two dogs. So this is why I do what I do, and I would encourage you to have something that motivates you as well that you can look at and you can say, "Hey, this is why I do what I do to keep you motivated all the time in order to fight all the things that are out there." The Power Shift 12-week accelerated immersion system is what I call going from zero to hero or from hero to superhero. And it's a program that's designed to get rapid results. 12 weeks to gain control, and then 12 months to master your power, manifest your destiny, and monetize your life. Obviously, it's an older calendar, but you get the gist of what we're doing there. Is I break things down into 30, 60, 90-day increments. And what I do there is I set it up so that you've got, like I said, a 30, 60, 90-day window. And then what we do is we actually take it through 12 months. So again, my goal is for you to get rapid results within the first 30, 60, 90 days and more. And I've got 3 different options that I offer. The first level is what I call self-guided transformation. And the self-guided transformation actually did it different. So it's 12-week immersion. It's called Power Shift. Power Shift 12-week. Number 1 is self-guided transformation. It's $997 for 12 weeks. Or it's $97 a week for 12 weeks. So I've broken it down so that it's manageable. This is what I call a bronze level. You get complete access to the Power Shift system. Get all the modules, everything is there, already encrypted and ready for you to access immediately. A lot of it. It'll start Monday, the newest sections of it. You'll get the assessment, you'll get the 2-week sprint frameworks, you'll get all the materials to implement the 3 tectonic shifts on your own. This is perfect for self-starters who prefer to work independently. I also have what I call guided transformation. And guided transformation, I call this gold level. It includes everything from level 1, plus direct coaching with me, support throughout your 12-week journey. You don't get the system, you get me along with the system, with myself and my team. We check up on your assignments, provide feedback, and ensure that you're implementing correctly. You get more of me and my expertise through group coaching, personalized feedback, and I also give you personal one-on-one calls with me every month. And so it's really designed to take you during that 12 weeks and get you massive results, because I become accountable to you, you become accountable to me, and so forth. And this guided transformation is $1,997. So it's $1,000 more than the basic self-guided transformation, but you're getting so much more. And it's really, it's really one of the things that you want to focus on. I also have a level 3. Actually, and this is $197 a week for 12 weeks. And the reason I do it by week is because it allows individuals to space out their financing if they so desire, rather than having the payment a month. But you pay, if you pay it all up front, you're going to save a lot of money. And then number 3 is VIP. That's my platinum level. And that's where I dedicate significantly more of my personal time and attention to your transformation. We have one-on-one meetings, a lot more of them, for 6 months. So this is 6 months in duration. And it's $2,997. And I don't have a weekly for that. But actually I could probably work something out for you, maybe $297 a week for 24 weeks or something like that. But those are the 3 levels that I have. for the system. If money was no concern, if Al Perhacs and the Mind Force method were the answer, would you want me to train you, nurture you, guide you for the next 12 weeks, and teach you the secrets that took me over 25 years to learn? It's really a transfer of knowledge. What if I could take all the knowledge in my mind over 25 years, 28 plus years of training and hand it over to you? The business, the energy, all of those things. And see, what you need, what's required, is you need a system that provides knowledge, speed to get you results, relationships to be able to have somebody that you can rely on, somebody that has your back, and then accountability. Accountability is a big thing. I mean, why do you think people hire personal trainers? I mean, it's not really that hard to learn how to lift weights or do some type of activity. The reason you have a personal trainer is for accountability, plain and simple. And since I get amazing results, that's what I provide. Is I would provide that accountability. But here's what you're getting. Basically cover my expense and not a whole lot more. You're getting weekly coaching calls. You're getting the Power Shift 12-week immersion. You're getting precision micro mastery emails. So what you get as soon as you sign up on every week, you'll get 5 emails a week. I only do it during the week because these emails are intensive. These emails are like having a coach in your email box. I mean, I spent a lot of time developing the emails so that you would have every single day an accountability factor in between our sessions. And it's really one of my most amazing things that I've created. And I've created a program I call micro mastery, which is taking small pieces, small chunks, and strategically getting that information. I also do what I call a 2-week sprint formula. So when you work with me, we're going to map out every 2 weeks a sprint, so to speak. And within that 2-week period of time, we're going to set a goal, whatever that might be, whether it's in financial, whether it's in emotional, or whether it's in physiological. We're going to actually put that together and we're going to do a 2-week sprint on that. Unlimited email and texting. And then I've personally designed activity software that you get. So it's a total value, a real value of $15,800. And like I said, you can pick it up at a lot less. As you can see, you probably can't see it that well, but Power Shift 12-week immersion is $19.97 with the coaching, $9.97 without. If you want the VIP, which is $29.97, that's a program that I don't necessarily just let anyone join because I'm going to be working with somebody for 6 months. And I need to make sure that you're the kind of person that wants a pathway to your greatest success. I decide who I work with. And so when it comes to these levels, you'd be applying today, not buying today, right? And if I accept you with the tiny investment that I'm offering, which could be a huge life changer, that's a pretty big deal. If I do accept you, here's what happens next, right? I would actually set you up for the micro mastery, would set up our first deep dive call, and would start getting you acclimated with the system. If you're not accepted, you would be notified within 24 hours and your credit card would be refunded. This is a proven process with, like I said before, a shelf life of forever. I think the question you have to ask yourself is, if not now, when? When are you going to change, if at all? Now, one of the things that I do with this program is I have my absolute guarantee. If you've not had a major breakthrough or transformation with mindset, money, or vitality using all my techniques, concepts, and methods within 12 months, I'll not only refund your money, but actually pay you $1,000 for implementing my proven process. I've never had a single failure when you use my simple, proven, effective system. So you can go over to mindforcemethod.com/powershift and decide which one of those you would enjoy. But I give you that whole year to get those goals that you want. And like I said, I've never had a single failure because I don't fail. That's also why I choose who I work with, because if I speak with somebody and they're not really with it in terms of doing the work, it's going to be a waste of my time. And I don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't want to waste your time. The other thing is I don't take blood money. So if somebody is in a financial situation, but they wanted to do this anyway, I have a phone conversation with them. And if I find out that this really is like their last bit of money, I don't do that. So I don't take blood money. There's a lot of gurus out there who will take anybody's money. That's not me. And the thing is, that's the way I've always been. Mark believed as a high performance business owner, investor, Mark was searching for a way to increase his energy, vitality, and receive relief from health issues. Within the first 30 days of working with me in the Mind Force method, he was able to significantly increase his overall energy and vitality, as well as decrease the medications he was on. Mark followed the plan he and I worked on together. What if you could just get better sleep? I'll show you how to do that and so much more. And that's really the key, right? PowerShift Immersion is the only program that obliterates the three tectonic shifts: financial stagnation, emotional chaos, and physiological breakdown, simultaneously turning you into a high performance machine. That's my goal. You're meant to be. You already have the power. That's really the key. Any questions that I might be able to answer on anything we covered today that I'd be happy to do? Yeah, I just got an email, actually Facebook message from Jody. It seems pretty expensive. And when somebody says the Power Shift program is too expensive at 1997, I always ask, compared to what, right? I mean, you think about the money many of you have spent on formal education, 4 years of college, maybe graduate school, tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what did that really get you? A guaranteed job, unconditional uh, trust from employers, I mean, belief in your abilities. The truth is, you could have learned the practical, applicable skills from the education that you had in just about 3 to 6 months. All the college you went to, you could have learned it all in 3 to 6 months, but they stretched that out over 4 years because they wanted your money. Now, let's talk about what not taking action on these three tectonic shifts is actually costing you, right? So, if your income is stuck at its current level for another year because your money shift is misaligned, how much potential earnings are you leaving on the table? 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 or more? I was coaching a gentleman a couple years ago called me up out of the blue, said I was speaking to somebody, they referred me to you, and I want you to coach me. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, I work at a factory. I said, okay. I said, what are your goals? He says, I want to have my own business. I said, okay. And we started a relationship. This guy didn't even own a car when I started working with him. And he paid me at that time $500 every month for 2 years. And now he has a thriving business. He's up in Washington State. And so, yeah, he did invest, but he also was able to multiply his income substantially. You see, if your confidence and emotional patterns remain unchanged for another year because of your mindset, because your mindset shift is misaligned, what opportunities will you miss? What relationships will suffer? And when you work directly with me, we flesh all that out. And that's really the key. I've had clients that tell me they've lost over $1 million in potential income by waiting 10 years to align these shifts. I mean, those are real numbers, right? So when you look at it too expensive, it probably means that you feel like you wouldn't actually do it, right? That's usually what that tells me. Because if you look at other coaching programs out there, you're going to find they're quite a bit more expensive and don't have the same impact of what I'm teaching with these three tectonic shifts. Let me just show you something real quick, which I think you'll find interesting. Now, anybody has any questions, let me know. Okay. Let me show you something. I don't know how old everyone is here, but I recently was thinking about this when I was coaching with somebody. Is how much time do you have left to make a difference in your life? I'm serious. Let's do the math together. According to actuarial tables, probably the average person in this workshop probably has another 25 to 30 years. 25 to 30 years. And maybe you're lucky and you'll get 40. And let's say this is the halfway point. We'll call halfway 50. We'll call this 100. And this is 0. I'm at 60. I'm 61, so I'm right about here. But here's the real question. What if you don't align your three tectonic shifts now? How much longer will you continue struggling with the same patterns? How much time do you have left on this planet to do something meaningful, to make a difference, to create your legacy? Everything I teach in the Power Shift program is designed to eliminate a 10 to 30 year learning curve and get you results that much faster. I do this through the precision micro mastery approach. It's a lot more efficient and effective than a lot of other programs. Sometimes you have no idea what your real potential is worth, but when you do a chart like this and you realize, here I'm at 61, I've only got a handful of years left where I'm actually vital and can actually go out and do things. And let me be completely transparent. I'm not here to take your money. At this stage in my life, with what I've built, do you think that 1997 or 997 from each of you makes any difference to me personally? I do this because I see the transformation the Mind Force method creates, and I'm passionate about sharing it with those who are ready. Those that aren't, that's fine. But I'm here to assist you. If anyone has any questions that I might be able to answer, I'm happy to answer any questions. I've pretty much covered everything that I need to cover. Is there any questions that you might have? Let me look in the the text and see if there's any questions. Here's a question from David. What are the guarantees that if I use your system, I'm going to get specific results? It's a good question, David. And the thing is this is that it really comes down to what you put into it. And the reason I do the coaching is because I work hand in hand with you. We set out your objectives and we create the reality in the next 30, 60, 90 days. If you don't take action, you won't get results. But if you do take action, you will definitely get results when you're working with me. Because, like I said, I don't fail. Because my goal is to get you to where you want to be more productively than ever before. That's the key. And so the guarantee is I'm backing the guarantee also up with the fact that over 12 months, if you don't get the results using all the moves, I'll refund your money in $1,000. And again, my whole goal is to get you the results you want. That's the key. And I think for everyone on this presentation, you want results. The question is, will you take the steps to get the results? What happens a lot is that people get fuzzy because it's the shiny object syndrome. You're in a different meeting every week, a different presentation, and you can't make a decision because you're trying to figure out which direction to go instead of planting your feet and setting a trajectory to where you want to go. That's ultimately what you have to do. Now, here's the thing is that for anyone that's left on the call, I would recommend regardless set up a 20-minute strategy session with me. Mindset strategy call. It's free and we can talk about where you're at, where you want to go and see what the potential possibilities are. That would be my best suggestion for you. And you can get some good insights, personalized insights. I also offer what I call a deep dive call. It's currently $149. If you get the VIP version of what I offered for this event, I actually included a 30-minute deep dive call for the cost of the VIP, which I believe is $27. So I mean, that's an unheard of deal. But what the deep dive call and the reason I do the deep dive calls is because when I work with a lot of businesses, and these are my rates: $900 an hour. Companies hire me for one day. It's $7,000. 2 days they can bring me in for I think it's 11,500, and then companies will pay me yearly $100K consult with them. So I have this $900 power hour, and the way most businesses executives use it is that they've probably been coaching with me for a year, and they stop coaching with me, and what they do is they do a power hour. I call it a power hour call every 90 days. So it's $900 for them. Just cheap. And we go in, we deep dive. In your case, for those of you on the call, if you want to do the deep dive call, it's $149 for a full hour or plus. It's on a Zoom call. We prepare ahead of time for the call where we actually go into details of what you're looking to do, how you want to do it, and so forth. If you do the free strategy session, it's pretty much just, you call me or we set up on Zoom. We go through some material, but for the most part, we're going to focus on whatever your particular situation is. So I would say that's a great that's a great situation for anyone that's on the call. And if you're considering some of the coaching, it's also good to have a call because that way I can go through the options. Like I said, I'm not here to try to force anyone to do anything, and that never works out anyway. But I keep everything open for I think I have 5 days for this, and then I'll close it down once I get enough people that sign up for it. But if you want to talk with me and see if this is a solution for you or something that could work to your benefit, just set up a call. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Like I said, if you want to do the deep dive, I'll take any deep dive that you want to do. I'll take the money off the program. Also, if you've ordered any of my courses over $100 in the last 30 days, I'm happy to apply that to any of the coaching packages as a bonus. So I probably should have said that earlier, but I usually do that. But I try to make it as simple as possible in order to get you to understand that high performance isn't a hobby. It's a war on three fronts: money, mind, body. It really is. Um, the key is you want to be able to align it for what you're looking to do. But um, let's see another question here. Will I be able to learn qigong or just the 12 weeks? You know what is interesting is one thing that I forgot to show everybody are the bonuses that you get. So I can't believe I didn't do that. Anyway, so if you get involved in the 12-week immersion, you're going to get the complete Mind Force library. And again, you can pick that up at mindforcelibrary.com power shift. You get the mindset domination system. You get the money matrix. You get 1 year access to the inner circle, which is $99 a month. So it's like $1,000, actually $1,200 a year. You get $2,000 master pass to the Mind Force Method live event this year. You can get that at Mind Force Method Power Shift. And so you're really getting quite a few bonus items with now these were my main curriculums for so many years. There's probably hundreds of hours of training: hypnotic influence, healing, chi power, the dark side of chi. If you've never experienced that, that's an interesting training. Mind force control factor, distilled learning system, primordial, vital chi, and mind force maximizer. So you'll get all of that. It's probably over $3,000 of training courses if you buy them separately, which some of them still are being sold separately, but you can get them obviously included with the package. So you get all the bonuses that you see here. It's a value of like $8,400. And again, I'm just trying to sweeten the pot for you if you're interested. Uh, we can talk about that more. But unless anyone has any questions, I've pretty much gone over all the content that I have. Any questions before we sign off? All right, great. It's been my pleasure. Again, reach out to me, set up a call if you wish. I'm happy to have a conversation with you and plan out your next phase. Like I said, I work with people, from all different aspects of life, whether they're wealthy or not. And I'm sure we could work something out where I could assist you and help you get to the next phase, the next level in your life. Any questions that you have after this, I'm happy to take them. If you're part of VIP, we'll be having a question and answer session, so you're going to want to mark down your questions so that we can cover them in the Q&A session. Also, as part of the VIP, you're going to get access to a portal system where I have a full workbook for you from this session. It's going to contain not only the information from this presentation, but some additional training and information that you can immediately use. I've enjoyed sharing. Thanks for attending. Everyone have a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you soon. So long.